So we need to have the continuation, what we did earlier, and at the linking point between what we did earlier and now what we're doing now. So we talked about the incidents. Number one, a very pleasant dream. Number two, the disaster in the dream. Number three, waking up. Let us not forget this. This is a very comprehensive example and a very comprehensive meaning of the Dharma. And both the great Acharya, the incredibly great teacher, Acharya Chandrakirti, a 7th century great Indian master, what is said is that the virtues, with the virtues, referring to the contaminated virtues, one will first, the non-meritorious actions through ignorance will give rise to the miseries. And those engaged in the contaminated virtues will experience happiness. And those who realize that both are the play of the ignorance will be liberated. So let's not forget this. 3 incidents were taught. Number one, those in non-virtues, anger, all these 10 non-virtuous actions will end up in miserable experiences of the same, the sickness, aging, death, tension, fights, all these complications, extreme mental agitations are the result of that. Then those who do virtuous, but in the dream, they have pleasant dreams. Unpleasant dreams, extremely scary nightmares, one result of non-virtuous. And very pleasant dreams, extremely pleasant dreams. That is the result of virtues. Pleasant dreams, everybody wants that. So instead of the non-days nightmare, you prefer the pleasant dreams. Number 2. Then number 3, wake up. Waking up. Waking up is the total liberation from both the dreams. Okay, this is what we are not to forget, the 3 incidents. So the karmas that we engage in, let's say the karmas all by being in the dream, the karmas that we engage in, virtuous, non-virtuous. Non-virtuous will give rise to the miseries. Virtuous will give rise to the samsaric pleasant experiences. And those who come out of the dream, they will be liberated from samsara altogether. Let's not forget this. So with this in mind, although the pleasant dream is very good, but we all said that we prefer to wake up, because even the pleasant dream also has a problem. The problem is that we don't have the choice to choose this dream. There's a loss of freedom. Loss of freedom is misery, and misery is disturbance. And nobody wants disturbance. We want to be free from disturbance. This is what we learn. So therefore, we want to wake up. That is the best choice of the 3. And this exemplifies, this is a metaphor for a life. We go through difficult times, we go through happy moments, and we go through total freedom from all forms of miseries, all forms of experiences, total freedom. 3. So with this, how can we go for the third one? Third one, which is total freedom, that you wake up. What's the difference between the first 2 moments, a terrible dream and a pleasant dream combined together, falling under the category of the dream, and number 3, waking up altogether? So what's the difference? Difference, just see whether you agree with me, that in the first case, being in the dream, being in the dream, you see the dream as real. You see dream as real. And in the second case, you see the dream as dream, not real. How many agree with me, raise hands? Very good. Okay, now when I say that, okay, in the first 2 cases, what is the commonality between the two is that in both cases, you are dreaming and you identify the dream as real. And in the third case, when you wake up, you identify the dream as not real. Now to articulate it further, what do you mean by you see the dream as real and you see the dream as unreal? The difference is that you see the dream as real, meaning the dream as the subject and the object. The dream is coming from the object, not from this subject. When you wake up, you realize that the dream as dream, meaning that the dream was just coming from my subject, nothing from the object. How many agree with me, Richards? Very good. This is a key. This is the key. You see the dream as dream means you see the dream as real from the object. You see the dream as objectively real from the object. And when you wake up, there's greatest freedom. Why? You see the dream as not real. You see the dream as not from the object, it's coming from the subject. From this, what we learn is that in the dream, you see the dream as objectively real. When you wake up, you see the dream as subjectively real. How many of you got it? Raise hands. Very good. Okay, so with this, we are introduced the concept of what is known as objective reality versus the subjective reality. Whereas you believe in the objective reality, you are in the dream. Whereas you realize that it is not objective, it's all subjective, you wake up. This is the meaning of what Ellie said as, wake up to be free from the dream. Wake up. What do you mean by wake up? To know that everything is subjectively real, there's nothing objectively real. This is the meaning of waking up. And the waking up happens in steps, not just sudden wake up. Sometimes there's a partial waking up. For information, when I was in the monastery, in my own monastery, Jabung Losang monastery, early morning, just like at 4 o'clock, I wanted to go to the loo. And the loo happened to be outside the main dormitories. So I was partially woken up. And half in sleep, I started to walk. And then in between the dormitory and the loo, in between, suddenly something happened from my feet and legs, like this. And I was fully woken up. Because I knew that there was a snake there. And that was what has happened from my feet to the legs, like this. I was fully woken. I jumped, and yes, indeed there was a snake there. I knew there was a snake there, but simply when the partially woken up, it simply skipped from my mind that there was a snake there, and I must have stepped on the snake. Luckily, it did not bite me. So that walking in that half sleep, that's a partial woken up. It's not a fully woken up. And when the snake stirs me, when I realize then something is happening, then I was fully woken up. I jumped. Okay, so even the waking up state, waking state, there are various levels of waking state. So now what we say is that those who are fully in the dream, fully just sucked up in the dream, the one category, another woken up, and those woken up, there are some who are partially woken up. There are some fully woken up. So the people, those in the waking state and those in the dream state. Let's classify two. Now, in the real world, we see that ordinary beings like us who are terribly suffering, terribly, we are like the beings in the dream. And then some who are attempting to wake up from the dream, the way what Ellie said, that you have to wake up. Those who are attempting to wake up, partially woken up, fully woken up, we call them as yogis. So ordinary beings versus the yogis too. And within the yogis, we see that some are, they say 10% yogi, and others are 50% yogis, others are 100% yogis, depending on how much you have woken up. Whereas ordinary people, you give a label to somebody as a yogi, then you don't know these distinctions. There's various levels of the a state of the waking up. You don't realize that. Because we don't realize that, we label somebody as a yogi who is just like 10% woken up. Oh, he's a Buddha, she's a Buddha. This is where we are going wrong. This is a clear indication of our lack of knowledge of what is the meaning of waking up and how many layers of waking up states there are. Okay, with this in mind, let's see. Same. Those who are in the waking, those who are in the sleep, they see reality in one form. Those who are waking up, they see in reality in another form. You're getting it? So those in the waking, those in the sleep, like us, ordinary beings. In fact, let us keep in mind that dream is of two kinds. Dream is of two kinds: conventional dreams and the unconventional dreams. And we wake up from the conventional dream every day. Every day we wake up from the conventional dream, but we have never woken up from the unconventional dream. If there's somebody who has woken up from the unconventional dream amongst the audience, and still you are in the audience, which means that you have come to test me, whether he himself is woken up or not woken up, partially woken up, fully woken up, just to come to test me, right? Or what he's teaching is correct, not correct. Otherwise, if you come very seriously, which means that you have not woken up. Now the point is that so this unconventional dream, we have never woken up. So this text, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, chapter 9, and Acharya Chandrakirti, this text, Guide to the Bodhisattva, the Madhyamika Avatar, Entry into the Middle Way. And of course, then Arya Nagarjuna's text, Mool Madhyamika Karika, the fundamental wisdom of the middle way. So these are all to help us to wake up from the sleep of ignorance, from this unconventional dream. Let's not forget this. With this in mind, I'll say how the ordinary being see things is like the person in the dream seeing things as real, seeing the dream as real, and how the enlightened beings, they see things as unreal, empty of being real, all subjective, nothing, empty of objective reality. Let's not forget this. So with this in mind, the second stanza, David, screen sharing, thank you. Second stanza, this is extremely comprehensive, very subtle, comprehensive, sophisticated. What I would say is that I'll just give you a very simple explanation here, and then later on, somebody can remind me to see if I can go through this again, because this is the starting point, and if I spend so much time on this, we cannot really finish the rest of the text. So I'll give a very simple explanation of this now, and then as we come closer towards the end of the text, then we can go back, revisit the verse number 2, and they explain it in more detail. Okay, either David or somebody will remind me later. Well, you got the conventional and ultimate. Conventional meaning those people who are still in the unconventional dream, still in the dream. And ultimate, the objects as seen by those who have woken up. Conventional, those things which are seen by those in the dream, seeing the dream is real. And ultimate, those who are object as seen by those who have woken up. Those who have woken up, in simple terms, if you could remember the example that I gave you of the Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash, the same Mount Kailash that you see with the dirty goggles, that is this metaphor for samsara. And same Mount Kailash seen through the very clean goggles, that is the metaphor for nirvana. So the same object seen in two different ways. So same object seen by the ordinary beings, or seen by the dreaming mind, the ignorance, that is conventional. And the same object the same object with ignorance sees as conventional, that is seen as ultimate by the wisdom which has woken up from the sleep of ignorance. So conventional and the ultimate, these are the two sides of the same coin, same object seen in two different ways, conventional and ultimate. These are accepted as being the two truths, the same object displaying two truths, displaying two natures. Same object, Mount Kailash, the same Mount Kailash, displaying as very clean and displaying as very dirty, depending on how you look at it. Likewise, these are accepted as being the two truths of the same object. Ultimate, what is that ultimate? Ultimate is not the object dualistic mind, meaning that the clean Mount Kailash is not to be seen by the dirty lenses, dirty lens or the murky lens. So the dualistic mind is the mind which is in the dream, a dreaming mind. A mind which dreams will not see the ultimate, will not see the reality. The dualistic mind is spoken of in relation to the conventional truth. What is that thing that the dreaming mind sees? That is known as the conventional truth. In other words, those who are looking at things from the lens of the ignorance, what they see is the conventional truth, and those who are looking at the same reality through the wisdom, non-ignorance, wisdom, what you see is the ultimate, like the Mount Kailash seen with the clear, like the wisdom, through the clear lens of the goggles, you see the clean Mount Kailash, and the same Mount Kailash seen through the dirty goggles, you see a very dirty Mount Kailash. Okay, so it is the same object actually. Same object, depending on how you look at it, it displays two different the aspects referred to as two different truths, conventional truth and the ultimate truth. Where you see the ultimate, you have woken up. When you say conventional, you are sucked in the dream. You are still in the dream. Okay, now stanza 3. In light of that, the world is seen to be of two types. So this is in terms of two objects, depending on which mind sees that, which mind. So two minds are there. One, the dualistic mind referring to the dreaming mind or the ignorant mind, and the other referring to non-dualistic mind, referring to the wisdom. So these two minds, who have these two minds? Number 3 is the response to this. Who are those beings with the dualistic mind, and who are those with the non-dualistic mind, or who are those with the dreaming mind, ignorant mind, and those with the wisdom? Who are these beings? In light of that, the world is seen to be two types, because there are two different minds, there are two different types of beings, yogis and the common people. How do you demarcate between these two? And regarding that, the world of common people is undermined by the world of the yogis. If I ask you, whose perception tallies with the reality? One in the dreaming, one who is dreaming, still dreaming, or one who wakes up? Whose perception tallies with the reality? For sure, you will say the one who has woken up. Raise hands who agree with me. Very good. So the common people refers to those people who are like the dreaming people, the dreaming people. And the yogis refer to yogis doesn't mean that somebody with a matted hair or very dirty clothes or naked body. This is not the meaning of the yogi. Yogi is a mental quality. Yoga is determined on the basis of the mental qualities. So the one who is woken up, these are the yogis. These are the true yogis. So we see that someone who is still sucked up in the dream and seeing the dream is real, and someone who is going towards the waking up, going to wake up, or fully woken up, or going towards that direction. Those people are known as yogis. In other words, who are tilted towards waking up from the sleep of ignorance, and those who are so deeply sucked up in the sleep of ignorance too. So those who are deeply sucked up in the sleep of ignorance, they are known as the common people, and those who are going towards the waking up, these are known as the yogis. And what's the difference? Why should somebody be a yogi? Let's not forget the main reason. The main reason for us even to study this text, or to study, that the the people, the beings are too kind, yogis and common people, even that is for the reason for us to wake up from the sleep of ignorance so that we will gain total freedom from all the external factors, that we will be freed from all the fears of samsara. Okay. So, and regarding that, the world of common people is undermined by the world of yogis. And if I ask you, which is superior, those who are sucked up in the dream and those who are turning towards waking up, which is better? For sure, you will say that those who are waking up, they are better. And those who are sucked up in the dream, as you see this dream is real, they are, they are less important, not really important. Say they are actually the less realized as compared to those who are turning towards waking up. So this is the meaning of the common people are undermined by the yogis. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, yogis, meaning those who are turning towards waking up from the sleep of ignorance. Those who are waking up, again, we see that even those waking up, they are, degrees. Not that somebody is turning towards waking up means the person already Buddha. No, it has many layers. We recite the mantra, Gade, Gade, Paragate, Parasamgade, Bodhisattva. These are the stages of waking up. Stages of waking up. So it says, stanza 4, through differences in their intelligence, the views of the yogis too are undermined by progressively higher ones. Meaning that within the yogis, we see that there are various levels, yogis with on different various stages of the realization. So those on the higher levels, they undermine the lower levels. And now the lower levels, their perception is proven to be inaccurate by the those on the progressively higher levels. Okay, through differences in the intelligence. Higher levels, they're more intelligent, they're more woken up, they are more better, the woken up from the sleep of ignorance as compared to those, they're less. So through differences in intelligence, the views of yogis too are undermined by progressively higher ones, meaning the lower yogis, they, for example, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgade, Bodhiswaha. Say the first Gade, the part of accumulation, the second Gade, part of preparation, part of seeing, Paragate, part of meditation, Parasangate, and normal learning, Bodhiswaha. So these 5 parts, so these are the yogis, these are real yogis. So those on the part of meditation will supersede the part of accumulation, part of seeing supersedes the part of meditation, and part of meditation will part of the preparation, and part of meditation will supersede the part of part of seeing, and normal learning will supersede the part of meditation. So within part of meditation, again there are 10 bodhisattva bhumis, 10 grounds. So the higher grounds, they supersede the lower grounds. So not in ways of, oh, this is intrinsically better. No, it's simply because the same person is progressing. Okay. A sense of 4, by differences in the intelligence, the views of yogis too are undermined by progressively higher ones. By means of examples, okay, now they are coming to the point. By means of examples accepted by both, and because unanalyzed, both engage in practices for the sake of the result. Okay, now the main discussions, main study starts from here. The line 3 of verse 4. Okay. Thus far, what we learned is that we have to wake up. We have to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. This is what we are trying to do. Waking up from the sleep of ignorance, waking up, what Bodhisattva Shantideva taught is that there are various levels. So what's the difference between waking up and not waking up? This is very important. If you don't get it, then we miss the point. What's the difference between the waking up and not waking up? Not waking up or being in sleep means to see the dream as real, dream as objectively real. Waking up means the dream as subjectively real. Subjectively real means nothing from the object. For example, let's say that this flower is closer towards Shahala. And then I said, okay, this flower is mine. When I say this flower is mine, it's a nice way of saying, Shahala, this is not yours. If I say this is not Shahala, this is not yours, It's very offensive. So I say the same meaning in a different wording. I say that, okay, this thought is mine, which means that it's not yours. Likewise, when we say that when you wake up, that you see the dream is seen as subjectively real, means it's not from the object, it's empty of objectivity. When you're in the dream, you see that it is not from the subject, it is empty of subjectivity, it is objective. This is a difference. In the dream, you see things as objectively real. And when you wake up, you see things as subjectively real as opposed to being objectively real. In other words, when you wake up, you see things as empty of objective existence. How many got it? Raise your hands. Very good. Okay. Now, in a way, what we're learning is the one as the what we said about with the example of the Mount Kailash, seeing it dirty, seeing clean. It entirely depends on how you look at it. How clean is your mind? So what do you mean by clean? The cleanliness of the mind. Waking up, your mind is defiled. No, sorry. In the dream, your mind is defiled. Waking up, your mind is clean, which means how to wake up. Yes, you can wake up. You can wake up. It's not that your mind is intrinsically dirty. Your mind is intrinsically, the true nature of mind is so pure, like the gold there. Now you have to wake up. You have to wake up. What do you mean by wake up? Wake up means to see things as subjective real, see things as empty of objective reality. How many got to this point with hands? Very good. Okay. Now, if you understand, okay, waking up means wake up from the sleep of ignorance, means that I have to see things as subjectively real. Okay. And let's not forget that seeing this as objectively real, this is the worst of the ignorance. The ignorance, there are so many kinds of ignorance. And the Buddha identified that ignorance is the root cause of all the miseries. All the miseries. Believe it or not, in the family, unnecessary domestic violence is happening, all because of ignorance. All because of ignorance. And the fights between the nations, countries, this is happening all because of ignorance. And oftentimes, the problem with the person who is leading the country. Okay, keeping aside the politics. Keeping aside the politics, the point is that all problems are rooted to ignorance. And depending on what level of ignorance, that decides how severe is your problem. So wake up from the sleep of ignorance completely, and your problems will come to an end altogether. This is the point. So what we come to realize, okay, I have to wake up. I have to free myself from, in other words, I say that what I'm seeking is to be freed from suffering altogether, which Charles Darwin said is not possible. The Buddha said, yes, 100% possible. How possible? Wake up from the sleep of ignorance. And Charles Darwin did not realize this, that there's a phenomenon known as waking up from the unconventional dream. He did not realize this. So therefore, he said that it is impossible. Whereas the Buddha knew that there is a possibility for waking up from the sleep of unconventional dream. Okay, once you wake up, nothing in the dream can affect you. How many agree with me? Once you wake up, nothing in the dream can affect you. Good, bad, nothing can affect you. Your mind is 100% freed from being affected by the dreams. This is the meaning of your mind is totally freed from all fears of existence when you wake up. It's so precious concept, so precious. So this waking up is known as wisdom. So the Buddha Shakyamuni, the whole purpose for appearing on this earth is just to disseminate this teaching of the wisdom, to teach the beings how to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. Let's not forget it. With this in mind, waking up equals knowing the subjectivity nature of phenomena. Okay, how many agree with me, in a sense? That's what we've learned. Waking up means to know things as subjectively real. Now, the seeing things as subjectively real, it has various connotations. Various connotations are there. So it is for this reason that the Buddha became enlightened at the age of 35. He remained silent for 49 days, not giving any teachings. And then the kings of the gods and goddesses, Indra, Brahma, they descended to make requests to the Buddha, beseech the Buddha, please don't remain silent, please turn the wheel of Dharma. And the Buddha uttered this verse in Tibetan. Profound, in English, profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light, non-composite. This is the nectar-like Dharma I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return into the words. This is what the Buddha said. Then the Indra and Brahma, the kings of the celestial realms, they made more prostrations, made more requests to the Buddha, and finally the Buddha assented to the request to turn the wheel of Dharma to give teachings. Okay, so what is that teaching? That teaching is the teaching of the wisdom to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. So for that matter, the Buddha admitted that this waking up is very profound. It's very difficult to reach to that level. So for this reason, the Buddha taught the three levels of the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma, varying in the nature of the teachings. In other words, Buddha taught the four different philosophical schools in order for people, in order for beings to wake up from the sleep of ignorance gradually. What do you mean by wake up from the sleep of ignorance gradually? That is to understand the subjectivity in subjectivity, how things are all subjectively real. That is taught in various levels. Okay, so before we go into the subjectivity, first we have to know what do you mean by objective. This is how we see the world. Okay, when we see the cheesecake, it makes our mouth water. It's so pleasant. When you hear about the COVID-19, there's so much of fear coming to you. These are all the indications that the objectivity is happening to our mind 24/7. Objectivity, seeing things objectively real. Okay. One time, it was I think 1988 when I was first enrolled in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, my first monastery. And there I was sharing a room with one monk from Singapore. And he was, I think, few years elder than me. I was in my just 18, 19 or 20. And he must have been like the late 20s. And we have always been learning about there's no objective reality, there's no intrinsic reality, all are coming from our mind, all are coming from our mind. And Dharamsala, some of you, Gilala, you know Dharamsala, it's so, in the monsoon season, it's so wet and cloudy and foggy and very gloomy. Then once in a while, the weather clears up. It's a beautiful sunshine. And it so happened that one day it was very beautiful sunshine day. And then my friend, the Singaporean monk, he opened the door and he saw the sunbeam entering through a window. It's so beautiful. He said that, how can I say that this is not intrinsically real? Okay, so what I'm saying is that this is how we see things as intrinsically real, as objectively real 24/7. And this is the meaning of we being sucked up in the dream of ignorance. How to wake up? So waking up, this is what the Buddha taught in different layers. And the first, we have to know what does it mean by seeing things objective real. We have to know that. Once you understand this, then what is that like to wake up? Waking up, again, there are different, different ways presented, and then see what that is like. And this is how we have to progress. Okay. So it says that, so now from the point of view of those beings like us, which represent us, that who do not believe that is subjective, it's purely objective. It's purely objective. Look, this, it's real, all right? And they, one time in my monastery, that was in Debu Monastery, my juniors, we are discussing not just intellectual discussion, of course, intellectual mixed with the, let's say, the experiential sharing experience. And then there was the very junior monk who must be like, I think 12, 13 years junior to me. And then he was coming to have some discussions with me in my room. Then I was talking about how everything's subjective. He said that, look, how can I say this is subjective? Look, I can hear the sound. It's subjective. How can I say this is subjective? Okay. And this spirit is required. This spirit is required to say objective. This is a conviction that it is objective. To say it is subjective, we must have a conviction that it is subjective. Not just, okay, it is said, some of the education system is that you should be able to quote. He said it like this from the point of view of this school, from the point of this, what is your take? You have no take, right? This is wrong. Then this will take us nowhere. Finally, the purpose is not for us to get some degree. The purpose is to be liberated from the fears of life. So for that matter, we must gain conviction. To say that things objective, we should be able to articulate that things are objective. To say that, no, this is wrong. Things are subjective. Again, we should be able to articulate it. So articulation gives us the conviction inside. This conviction, when familiarized, when you habituate in this convictions, then the transformation takes place within our emotional world. This is how our emotions are being transformed. Okay, so the conviction is very important. With this mind, let's see. By means of examples, okay, the text, by means of examples, accepted by both, and because unanalyzed, both engage in practices for the sake of the result. Okay, now like us, the philosophical schools who represent our thinking, what they say on behalf of the belief that things are all objectively real, what they say is that no, what you're talking about, everything is subjective. There's not the empty of objective existence. There's no proof. How can you convince it? How can you convince us? This is their argument against those who are working up, like Bodhisattva Shantideva. Those who have already woken up, those like us who are yet to be woken up, they argue against those who are woken up, saying that you are saying that nothing is objectively real. How can you prove this? There's no proof. There's no rationality behind this. Okay, so Bodhisattva Shantideva is saying, by means of examples acceptable to you and acceptable to me, through this I can establish that nothing exists objectively. Number one, this is a basic thesis that he is providing. The thesis that he's providing, saying that this is what I'm sharing. Saying we can prove that objective existence is not feasible on the basis of the common example which is shared between you and me, number one. And this detailed presentation will be given later. First, the main thesis, conclusions of the thesis has been presented. Number two, because unanalyzed, both engage in practices for the sake of the result. Okay. Then the opponent said that on top of that, if you say that there's nothing objectively real, it's all just the imputed by your mind, or all subjective. Subjective means what is projected by your mind. Okay, let's not forget it. I'm going to take us in a very the stepwise way. Number one, that the Bodhisattva Shantideva says that everything is subjective. To know that everything is subjective, this is the meaning of the waking up. So now subjective, what is subjective? Subjective means everything is imputed by a mind. Number two, everything imputed by mind means that everything is like imagination. This is how the opponents understand it. Let me say it again. Opponents who believe in objective existence would argue against Bodhisattva Shantideva that you are saying nothing exists objectively. Okay, so you as follower of Bodhisattva Shantideva, you just nod your head if you agree, or you raise hands if you agree. You are saying that nothing exists objectively. Raise hands if you agree. Okay, so I am on behalf of the, they say ordinary beings, common people who don't, who believe in objectivity, and you are following Bodhisattva Shantideva, accepting nothing is objectively. So from your point of view, nothing is objectively. Yes. So nothing is objectively means everything is subjectively real. Yes. If everything is subjectively real, everything is imputed by your mind. Yes. If everything is imputed by mind, now the final jump. If everything is imputed by mind, everything is imaginary. Okay. So this says, this is how the advocates of objective existence would debate, saying that you would end up in accepting everything as imaginary. If everything is imaginary, then it says, unanalyzed both engage in practices for the sake of the result. Then for you, right? For you, you can imagine that just going to the pubs will make me become enlightened. You don't practice the dharma. You can imagine it. If everything is imaginary. This argument by the advocates of objective existence, saying that if everything is imaginary, then the effort for dharma practice to become Buddha is meaningless. Because you can imagine, without much effort, you become a Buddha. You can imagine it. So the Bodhisattva Shantideva is saying that no, unanalyzed, the text reads, unanalyzed, both meaning, both meaning advocates of objective existence and the advocates of subjective existence, both sides will engage in practices for the sake of the result. For example, both put effort to prove their point, right? Both put effort to prove their point. So someone who believes in objective existence will also put effort to become Buddha. Those who believe in subjectivity will also put effort to become a Buddha. So both put effort. This is reality, unanalyzed. This is the key point. This is the key point which I like to discuss with you. Okay, David, it may be good if you can just keep showing the screen all the time. Thank you. Okay, this line, the last line of verse 4, unanalyzed. Okay. I asked you, what is this? And most of you will say this is water. And the chemist will say this is H2O. And the particle physicist would say this is electrons, protons, neutrons. All are correct. Okay, all are correct. I'm sure you will say all are correct. Now my question to you, of these three versions, which is related to the analysis? First one, second one, third one. Which is related to which is what you would call as the most refined analysis. The first one, which is this water. Second one, we said, okay, let's say this water versus this is electrons, protons, neutrons. Which of the two would you call as analysis, which involves analysis? Okay, anybody raise hands? Anybody? Okay, Shahala.
The first one is just upon just what one sees, and the second one is upon analysis.
Very good. So, how many agree with Shahala reasons? Okay. So, many of you who are not from Israel, you must be wondering who is Shahala? Right? Who's Shahala? Okay, for you to introduce Shahala. So, this says, I'm glad that Shahala, you gave the answer. Okay. So, basically, what Shahala said is that you see the glass of water, that's how you see, that's it. Whereas you see, oh, what is this? What is this? What is this? Water is made of? It's made of electrons, protons, neutrons. The say the two hydrogen, two electrons, two nucleus, and oxygen, 16 electrons, 16 neutrons, 16 protons. It's nothing but made of electrons, protons, and neutrons. This involves analysis. Whereas to see water, we don't require analysis. So unanalyzed, meaning when you look at from distance, without going close to the object, without closely analyzing it, from distance, you see water. That is the meaning of conventional reality. When you analyze to see what is there on the object, then the water disappears. So what you see is water. If you want to enjoy this water, don't look at it through electron microscope. If you look at it through electron microscope, you will never enjoy the water. If you want to enjoy water, keep your mind unanalyzed. Unanalyzed, look at it, you will see water, enjoy this. So unanalyzed, what we see as he is accumulating merit, and he is doing the practices, Bodhisattva practice, wisdom ambitions to become Buddha. So all these things, if you want to enjoy somebody practicing dharma and becoming enlightened, if this is what you like to see, then don't analyze deep into the object. Just stay from the distance, unanalyze whatever you see. On that basis, you enjoy. Okay, somebody's practicing dharma, now following the first gate, second gate, paragate, parasangha, bodhisattva. This all on the unanalyzed level, meaning that you don't closely analyze to the object. From distance, whatever you see, just stay there. This meaning of unanalyzed. On the unanalyzed level, okay, when we say analyzed and unanalyzed, what we say, this is very important. Okay, let us pay attention to this. Say, I asked this question to two persons. One, ordinary people like us, other to the particle physicists. To ordinary people like us, I asked, what is this? And you said this water. And to the particle physicists, I asked this, they said this is a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. So what Shahala said is that of the two, the second one, the way, the manner in which the particle physicists see, this is how the analyzed mind sees. How many agree with Shahala reasons? Okay, very good, very good. Okay, now with this, they say that the one is analyzed and the other one's unanalyzed. So the mind, our eye consciousness, which sees the water, this is unanalyzed. And the physicists, they look at through electron microscope, they see just electrons, protons, neutrons. This we call as analyzed. Okay, so we see our mind in a very broad sense, in a loose sense, we can classify the mind into two, analyzed and unanalyzed. Of the two, my question to you is, of the two, analyzed and unanalyzed, which is the one which more closely resonates with objectivity, and which is the one which resonates more closely with the subjectivity? Okay, did you follow the question? Let me repeat it. Our mind, in loose sense, we can classify them into two groups. In loose sense, one is the analyzed mind, other one is the unanalyzed mind. What example do you have? Seeing this, it's just water, as opposed to, oh, this is just electrons, protons, neutrons. So seeing this same object as electrons, protons, neutrons, this is analyzed, as Shahala said, and seeing the same object as water, this is unanalyzed. This is what we have understood. Analyzed mind and unanalyzed mind. Now, my question to you is, which of the two minds, analyzed and unanalyzed, more closely resonates with objectivity, and which more closely resonates with the subjectivity? Okay, anybody? Eli,
Analyzed.
When you analyze, you're more subjectively.
Analysis is related to subjectivity or the objectivity?
Yeah. Subjectivity.
Subjectivity. Okay. Yakila.
Well, unanalyzed pertains to unanalyzed pertains to conventionality.
I did not ask convention. I asked subjectivity and objectivity.
Oh yeah, sorry. So unanalyzed pertains to objectivity. Analyzed pertains to subjectivity.
Okay, I'll give you another 5 seconds. Think it again. Earlier you said it correctly. Now you change. You said it differently. I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay. Meanwhile,
All right. I'll say it again. So, unanalyzed pertains to objectivity. Analyzed pertains to subjectivity.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you do not change your mind, which means that your second you held to this second point. Next, Edith. Yes.
It really, I don't think that from taking these examples, you could see if somebody had saw the things as subjective real or objective real, because the scientists still see things as coming from their own side. And
Okay, so
ordinary person can see things as coming from...
Let us say, I'm not going to technically, I'm not looking for the politically correct answer. What I'm asking is, say, one is we come to know that our mind, even this word I use, in a loose sense. In a loose sense, our mind is classified into two. One is analyzed, one is unanalyzed. So of the two, which is closer towards which is closer to looking at the objectivity, and which is closer to looking at the subjectivity? This is my question. Okay, it is love. Even the word is closer. It's not which understands. It is not my question. Which is closer? Say unanalyzed. This is looking for the objective or the subjective, or the analyzed is looking for the objective or the subjective. This is my question. Anybody? Edith, you got it? Edith?
I don't know how you could judge from this if somebody sees things like that. So I'll let somebody else answer. Huh?
Okay. Tomar?
Yeah. Analyze, it's more from the subjective side.
Analyze
objective.
Okay. When you analyze, okay. Perhaps I need to make question clearer. So when you say in this context, analyze and don't understand it the way you understand it normally. Now we said, give this, take this example. This, what is held in my hand? One mind sees this as water. Mind A sees this as water. The particle physicist sees this as a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. Which of the two mind, what it sees, okay, it is that what it sees is going close, it sees that through going close to the object, or what it sees is not going closer to the object, but staying with the subject. This is my question. Anybody? Okay, yes, the one who raised hands.
Yes, maybe the scientist point of view is closer to the subjective one, because when you just look at the water, you say, this is water. The scientist has to ask a question and postulate something. And whatever he sees, these are electrons, neutrons, etc., he may be proven wrong.
Okay.
So it's subjective. In the question of the analysis brings subjectivity by itself.
Okay, let's say that, okay, now, thank you. I cannot read Hebrew. So therefore, I cannot identify the name. So let's say, okay, anybody who has a different view, raise hands. Okay, Tomer B.
Yes. So I think that when you just look at something and you don't analyze, then this is subjective, because I can see one thing, another person can see a different thing according to our, I don't know, beliefs and thought and karma and whatever. But when we analyze, then we are trying to find some sort of underlying truth. So we're trying to look for an objective truth. So analyzed
Okay.
pertains to objective.
Okay. Thank you, Tomer. How many agree with Tomer? Raise hands. Oh, that's interesting. Or many of you. Okay. Now let me put it like this. Okay, let's say that in fact, there are two sides there. It is not that two are contradictory. Although the words may be contradictory, but the concepts are not contradictory. I agree with both of you, not for any other reason. Just keep in mind that, let's say, let me give you another example so that I'm sure we'll all agree to this point. Let's say that who's the organizer of this teaching, right? Or gentleman over there, who is known as Shahala. Who's Shahala? And he's a Tibetan, right? He's a Tibetan. Okay, he's a Tibetan. So this is a Tibetan teaching, and then let's say Gilala said, no, this is not Shahala is not a Tibetan. He's from Israel, right? He's not Tibetan. He's from Israel. He's Israeli. Okay, so somebody like Carolyn Chen will say that, this is Shahala. Oh, he's a Tibetan. So he's a Tibetan. He is so this is a Tibetan teaching. And then Gilala, Yagila, they all say that no, Shahala is from Israel, right? This is the Dhamma Friends of Israel teaching. Okay, so now tell me, which of the two statements, one made by Carolyn, one made by the Venerable Yakila and Gilala, which of the two tally with closer towards the object, and which of the two deviates from the objective reality? Anybody, raise hands, very quick. Somebody, then I will ask the rest of. Okay, Subala, come on, Subala.
The ones you say, he's the Tibetan.
That tallies with objective or subjective?
That's subjective.
Okay. How many agree with Kama Subala? Raise hands. Okay. How many disagree with Kama Subala? Raise hands. Okay. Okay. I thought I made it easy. It becomes more complicated. Okay. Never mind. Let's say that this is this water. Don't worry. I'm telling the truth. This water. Say this is in reality also this water. Let's say this water, and I ask you, what is this? What is this object? What is this object? And somebody says, oh, this is coffee. And somebody says, this is wine. Somebody says, this is plain water. Okay, the person A said, this is coffee. Person B says, this is wine. Person C said, this is plain water. Which of the three statements tally with the objective reality? Objective reality meaning the object. Anyone raise hands? Very quick. Okay. Venerable Tudan Chuinla.
The third one, Geshe.
Third one. Who said this water? How many agree with Venerable Tudan Chuinla? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. So from this, what we see is that they say the mind perceives something and there's an object there, and say the mind, what it perceives, if the object. So what we say is, what is this object? What is this object? What is really there is the objective reality. And then as opposed to the objective reality is known as subjective reality. So when you say, what is this? When you say, oh, this is actually some water, and you say that this is apple juice, which means that what you see is not objective. It does not tally with the reality. It is subjective. How many agree with me, in a sense? In a loose sense, not in philosophical sense. In loose sense, yes, it does not tally with the object. What it sees and what is there in the object, these are very different. So now the point is that in other words, what we said earlier is that when you look at the same object, there are two things. One, which goes closer to this object to see what is really there, and another mind which doesn't go there but looks at it and then say that this water, this is whatever. So when you say, let's say that, oh, but this is water versus this is just electrons, protons, neutrons. So to say this water, A, to say this bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons, which of the two mind has to go closer to this object? Raise hands, very quick. Okay, the Venerable Yakila.
The one that checks for electrons, protons, and so forth.
Okay, how many agree with Venerable Yakila? Raise hands. Oh, very good. I'm very happy now. I'm very happy. Okay, say the mind to say that, oh, this is made of electrons, protons, neutrons. So this mind has to go closer to the object to see, versus the mind from distance just say that this is water. So that mind, which is known as unanalyzed, not going close to the object to see what is really there. This is the unanalyzed mind, or we call it conventional, the mind analyzing the conventional. Let's not forget it. And the mind which go close to the object to see what it is there is not the mind analyzing the ultimate. So in loose sense, or broadly speaking, we can classify the mind into two groups: mind analyzing the conventional, and the mind analyzing the ultimate. How many got it? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. Now, when we say that, okay, where is the, okay, let's say that where is Karen Ming? Where is Karen Ming? She raised her hands. Okay, I see you are there. Okay, so this mind is known as the mind analyzing the convention. And where is Carolyn Ming? Then Carolyn Ming raised her hands and says, oh, your hand is Carolyn Ming. Your hand, is this Carolyn Ming? If you analyze this, then you will never find Carolyn Ming. You are trying to go beyond the convention. Go beyond the convention of what is Carolyn Ming. Go beyond that. Carolyn Ming, your heart is your heart, your lungs, your mind. Which is Carolyn Ming? This is known as the mind going to analyze beyond convention. Beyond convention means convention as opposed to ultimate. You're trying to look for the ultimate. You're going to ultimate meaning what is there from the object. So the mind in general can be classified into two: mind which analyzes convention, mind which analyzes the ultimate. Okay, so this is a very important point. I'd like to reiterate this. I'd like to explain this once more. This is very important. The mind can be classified into two: mind analyzing the convention, mind analyzing the ultimate. Let's say that, okay, this water, This is water, right? This is how we accept the water. We accept the water. Now, if you ask me, which is water? It's nothing but the 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Which hydrogen is water? The first one, second one, or the oxygen. If you go like this, you will never find the water. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. You will never find the water, and you have dismantled the conventionality, which means that the mind, when you see this water, you are staying within the convention. But then when you ask further, after seeing the water, still ask, which is water? The first hydrogen, second hydrogen, the oxygen, then you have crossed the convention of the water. How many understood this? Raise hands. Very good. So when you cross the convention of, when you cross the border of the conventionality, when you cross the border of the conventionality of the water, you are looking for the ultimate. So till that point, till this, you say you are able to say this water, you are within the border of the conventionality. That mind is known as mind analyzing the convention. Then when you cross this border, saying, where's the water? Seeing the water, still asking, where's the water? The first electron, hydrogen, water, second hydrogen, water, or the oxygen, water. If you do like this, then you have crossed the border of the conventionality. Crossing the border of the conventionality, you go into the ultimate. Conventional as opposed to ultimate. Okay, so it's known as the mind analyzing the ultimate. Okay. Now, what we need to keep in mind is that the object as found by the conventional analysis, object as validly found by the conventional analysis is known as conventional truth. Object which is validly found by the ultimate analysis is known as the ultimate truth. In simple terms, object as validly, this is the key word, validly, because some of the conventional analysis may not be valid. Some of the ultimate analysis may not be valid. To say that, oh, this water exists truly, this water exists objectively, that is a ultimate analysis, but an invalid ultimate analysis. So the object as validly found by the conventional analysis is known as conventional truth, and the object as validly found by the ultimate analysis is known as ultimate truth. Let's not forget it. Okay. Now my question to you. Okay, let me see how fast we can go through this text. This will be tested by this question. The question is, okay, I ask you, what is this? Ordinary people like us will say this is water. And then the chemists like Madame Curie. Okay, like Madame Curie will say that this is H2O. Like the particle physicists will say that this is electrons, protons, neutrons. Okay, this is the answer. My question to you, which of the 3 answers is correct? Raise hands very quick. Okay, Leora, Kenneth.
All of them.
All are correct. Okay, before you say all are correct, be mindful of the potential questions which may follow. Okay, now, if I ask you the question, the particle physicists, if I ask them, you say you are the particle physicist looking at this object, and you said this is a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. Are you seeing the water? No, you're not seeing the water. You're only seeing the electrons, protons, neutrons, and the electrons, protons, neutrons, they are not the water. Different from the electrons, protons, neutrons, there's no water. So, in your eyes, the water is non-existent. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes.
Okay. In your eyes, the water is non-existent. How many agree with the Leora? Raise hands. In the eyes of the particle physicists who are looking at this object through electron microscope, they just see electrons, bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons, no water. Raise hands. Okay. Now, if all three are correct, then seeing no water should be also correct. The particle physicist says, who said there's no water, it's just electron, proton, neutron, should be also correct. So no water should be also correct. Okay, is it water or not? Raise hands. Is it water or not? Okay, yes. Okay, Hila. Unmute.
Sorry, I got confused. No, I don't know.
Okay. Is this water? This is the question.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But if particle physics said there's no water. So there's water or there's no water here? Anybody who likes to give the answer? Leorella, you like to give the answer?
Conventionally, there is water. When analyzing, there's no water.
Okay. I asked you, but so okay. Say that if there's water or not, you cannot give the answer yes, no.
Right.
You cannot give the answer yes, no.
I'll ask you if you mean objectively or subjectively, or conventionally or alternatively.
Okay. So
Conventionally, there is water.
when you go to shop, when you go to buy your morning breakfast, what is that? What is that?
Yogurt, Geshe.
Okay.
Yogurt.
Not yoga. In Israel, there's one thing, the falafel.
Oh.
Leora, when you go to buy falafel, would you ask conventionally, is it conventional real or this is the ultimate real? Do you ask this? You don't ask. You just say, I want falafel, right? So, and then the person gives you just the bread without the nothing inside. There's no falafel. You're getting it? So what I'm saying is that whether or not there's water here, ordinary people like us, we say there is water. And the particle physicists, they will say that there's no water there. And who is correct? If you say both are correct, there's a problem. Because the same object cannot be water as well as no water. Okay, this is a very important point. Okay, unless we get through this, then the remaining stanzas we have to keep just pending. Okay, what I'm saying is that we say that this is water, and particle physicists say that there's no water. Who is correct? Raise hands. Anybody? Okay, Shahara.
I said there is water.
There is water, which means the physical particle physicists, they are wrong.
If they negate the existence of water, yes, they are wrong.
Okay. Okay. So say if you're a particle physicist, you look at through electron microscope, you don't see water there. And if I ask you, is there water? You will say no, it's just electrons, protons, neutrons. Which means that your presentation is wrong or correct.
Then my presentation is, if I said there is no water, then my presentation is wrong.
Okay. Okay. So the Shahara, your mom is your mom or a daughter? For you is a mom. For your grandmother is a daughter. Right?
Maybe a glass of water.
Yes, yes.
A glass of water. The glass.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Continue speaking.
If you're thirsty, it's water. If you're interested into the material construction, let's say, put it this way, of the world, it's electrons, neutrons, etc. They do not negate one another, but they are not the same.
Okay, they are not the same. They're not the same. If you're thirsty, there's water. Okay, say the dreaming person. The dreaming person, you dream of holding a glass of water. Dreaming person, you hold a glass of water, and you're very thirsty in the dream. You wake up, you're still thirsty. So is that water for you? The dream glass of water, is that water for you? Who's working up?
If you've woken up, the glass of water is still in the dream. It's not, you are awakened. The glass of water is in the dream. Your thirst may still be here.
So you have the thirst. For you being, when you are thirsty, it doesn't mean that what you earlier said, so glass of water, it should be glass of water. You can see this wrong. You see that it's not a glass of water, it's just a dream. Okay, very good. I'm very happy. What we learned thus far is that the mind which sees things from distance, this water. These minds are known as the conventional mind, or the mind analyzing the convention. And then you go closer to the object to see what is really there. Electrons, protons, neutrons. I'm just giving an example. When you go closer to the object, what we call as an analyzed mind, this is also referred to as the mind analyzing the ultimate. Conventional as opposed to ultimate. And if you have more questions, like why do you use the word ultimate, why you use the word conventional, so forth, please feel free to ask me in the end, because we still have more sessions we have to proceed through. Okay, so with this, okay. So now the point is that these questions we have to you must, as I encouraged earlier, we must be convinced. Whatever words that we learn, like conventional analysis, ultimate analysis, you can freely ask me, why do you use the word conventional analysis? Why do you use the word ultimate analysis, so forth? First, we have to have the structure. Okay, the mind is brought into two. So you see as a glass of water, you see electrons, protons, neutrons. These two, one is closer to the object. To go by closer to the object, that is known as the ultimate analysis, and the one which is staying away from the object, that is known as the conventional analysis. Just now, they first know the terminologies, and then the next part is, why do you use these labels? Why? So these we have to study. Don't just leave them as okay on belief. Okay, so with this, what I'm saying is that those people who say that everything is objective, there's nothing subjective, versus like Bodhisattva Shantideva, who said everything is subjective. So those advocates of the objectivity, they argue by saying that if everything is subjective, everything should be mental projection. If everything's mental projection, everything becomes like, whatever you think, it should be real. So, everything becomes imaginary. If everything's imaginary, then what's the point of your practice of the Dharma to become enlightened? You can imagine that you don't practice Dharma, you can still imagine that I'm a Buddha, I become Buddha, right? So what's the purpose of practicing the Dharma in order to become a Buddha? So the Bodhisattva Shantideva said that unanalyzed meaning that, so when we say subjective, objective, with this analysis, you are saying it's objective, I say this subjective. The first thing that we need to keep in mind is that, okay, Shariputra, or let's say Shariputra, putting effort to practice Dharma to become enlightened. Or a Bodhisattva, let's say a Bodhisattva putting effort to become enlightened. And then the advocates of the, let's say I am on the side of the advocate of the objective existence, and you, the followers of Bodhisattva Shantideva. So you are saying that, okay, that Bodhisattva following the path is now the struggling to become Buddha. And I ask you, is it true? You will say yes. And the person asks me, is it true? I'll say yes. We agree. So that is happening. With that, we are not analyzing whether it's subjective, objective, we are not analyzing. So unanalyzed, both meaning you, the advocates of subjective existence, and I, the advocates of objective existence, both can see the Bodhisattva engage in practices, Bodhisattva practices for the sake of the Buddha as the result, Buddhahood as the result. So this is what happens. Is in unanalyzed, yes, you accept that somebody practices the Bodhisattva path become Buddha. I also accept it. We both accept it. What we disagree is that this Buddhahood, whether it exists objectively or subjectively, we don't disagree that by practicing Bodhisattva path, you become a Buddha. Okay, you agree with me or not? That by practicing Bodhisattva path, you become Buddha. You agree? Yes, I also agree with you. So this, both of us agree. Now what we disagree is, okay, let's say, do you agree that this is a glass of water? The advocates of the followers of Bodhisattva Shantideva, advocates of subjective existence, you said that yes, you agree. I, the advocate of objective existence, say yes, this is water. We both agree. Now, what we disagree is that this glass of water which exists, I say it exists objectively. You said no, it does not exist objectively. It is empty of objective existence. It exists subjectively. It exists, but it is subjectively. This is the debate. You're getting it? Okay, this is so important. In other words, to conclude, what I'm saying is that the advocate, the common people here, referred to as common people, who believe in objective existence. These people equate the objective existence and existence. Existence means objective existence. Now, when you say that no, nothing exists objectively, it exists subjectively, then for the common people, meaning the advocates of objective existence, subjective means imaginary. If imaginary, then the functionality cannot be accounted for. You're getting it? So this is what we need to keep in mind. If they say from the point of view of the objective existence, from the point of view of the advocates of objective existence, if you say that things exist subjectively, means things are imaginary. Things are imaginary means accountability for the cause and effect is not there. That the cause and the infallibility of the cause and effect is not there. So you cannot account for the infallibility of the cause and effect if you believe in subjective existence from the point of view of the advocates of objective existence. How many got it? Raise hands. Very good. I'm glad. Okay. So this is where now the discussion is happening that this is very important. Let's say that, okay, nothing exists objectively, right? You say that nothing exists objectively. Then I'm very shocked. If nothing exists objectively, everything, then what is there? You say that just subjectivity is there. Then I would say, then it's all imaginary. What is your response? Anybody? Raise hands. You said that everything exists, but nothing is objectively. What is there then? You say then subjectivity is there. Subjectivity is there means everything is imaginary. This is my supposition or my argument against you. So what is your response? Anybody, very quick, on behalf of the Bodhisattva Shantideva's followers? Okay, the Leorala.
Subjectively doesn't mean imaginary. It doesn't equal imaginary. There's a way of conventionally existence which is subjectively and not imaginary.
Okay, subjectivity does not mean the imaginary. How many agree with Leorala? Raise hands. Okay, thanks. Okay, how many agree with Leorala? Raise hands. Subjectivity does not mean imaginary. Raise hands. Okay, very good, very good. The part when you actually go into this meditation, one, before we actually practice it, we just intellectually learn it. Then we start practicing it, and then we are halfway through. And then we got to full. So those in the beginning will say that subjectivity doesn't mean the imaginary. Okay, then those at the end meaning, those who actually realize it fully will say subjectivity doesn't mean imaginary. You're getting it? And in between, as you practice it, as you practice to see that nothing exists objectively, then we tend to fall to some extent that there's nothing really there. It's just pure imaginary. This is what can potentially happen for somebody when you practice the meditation and emptiness. Okay, keeping aside with this, if for the time being, if you're able to say that, yes, things exist subjectively, but subjectivity does not mean imaginary. If you're able to say that, this is so precious. This is so precious. Okay. The next stanza, stanza 5. Okay. Refuting objections from the proponents of inherent existence. Okay. So now, what is the debate? So if you say that everything exists, if you, the advocates of you are the followers of the Bodhisattva Shantideva, you say everything exists. And of course, all the objects exist, and I also say everything exists. So what's that debate? Okay. So what's that debate? Anybody? So I, the advocate of objective existence, I said everything exists objectively. Everything exists. And you also said that everything exists. You don't say everything is imaginary. You said everything exists, which means it's the same. What's the debate? Anybody? Raise hands. Very quick, very quick. Quick. Anybody? What's the debate between two of us then? Huh? Just raise hands very quick to save time. Oh, no one. Yakila. Okay, Yakila.
Well, I'm not sure that I'm getting what you're asking, but those who assert that things exist subjectively would say that if they don't exist at all. You know, if things wouldn't exist inherently, it means that they wouldn't exist at all.
Okay, so from the point of view of the advocates of objective existence like me, those who believe in objective existence, they would say that if everything is subjective existence means non-existent. If something exists, it should exist objectively. Okay, so the debate is whether or not things exist objectively or subjectively. This is the debate. How many agree with the Yakila Richens? Okay, good. Now let's read this, stanza 5. The common world meaning the common people or the advocates of objective existence, and those in the dream, those who are in the dream, they see the dream is real. They will say that, what are you talking about? This is world. What I'm seeing is the world, the dream as real. The common world sees functional things meaning those which function, for example, the traffic and the food and the COVID and the vaccine, being kind towards others, you're happy, being unkind towards others, you're unhappy. So all these are the functional things. The common world sees functional things and conceives them to be truly existent, meaning that the common people, the people in the dream, they see the dream and see the dream as real. The common people, they see the functional world and they see them as truly existent, meaning objectively real. Not like an illusion. Whereas the yogis, realized beings, will see them as like illusion coming from the mind. And common people will see them as objectively real, not coming from the mind, but coming from the object. Not like an illusion. In this regard, there is a dispute between the yogis and the common world. What is that dispute? Dispute is not about whether the flower exists, whether or not the flower exists. The dispute is how the flower exists. How the flower exists. Whether it exists from the subject or whether it exists from the the object. Common people will say that the flower exists from the object. And the yogis, the realized beings, will say that the flower exists from the subject. Okay, so they disagree on this point. Common people say that the flower exists from the object, and the yogis will say the flower does not exist from the object. Okay, how many understood this? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. with this in mind, it's so important. I like to make some statements. I say to go to the study of emptiness, there are two questions. The first question is, do things exist? Do things exist? And somebody in the air of understanding emptiness will say, no, nothing exists. The first question, do things exist? If the answer is no, you fall into nihilism. This is not emptiness. Let's not forget it. Two questions. Do things exist? If the answer is no, things don't exist. It's not emptiness. It is nothingness. It is nihilism. So only if you say yes, do things exist? Yes. Good things, do good things, then the happiness follows. Do bad things and miseries follow. Does it exist? Yes. Everything exists. Only if you say yes to the first question, everything exists, then you are entitled to go for the second question. Second question is, do things exist objectively? Do things exist objectively? Then if you say no, this is the meaning of emptiness. Things don't exist objectively. Things do exist, not objectively. If they don't exist objectively, how do they exist? They exist subjectively. Things do exist. So the acceptance is that things do exist. Everything exists, but how they exist? They don't exist objectively. They exist subjectively. So two questions is, the first, do things exist? If the answer is no, you fall into nihilism. Only if you say yes to the first question, then you are entitled to give answer to the second question. Second question is, do things exist objectively? You answer, if it is yes, then it is absolutism. If your answer is no, this is emptiness. This is the real understanding of emptiness. Okay, let's not forget it. Okay, now the next part is, the next part is refuting the realist in general. Realist meaning those who advocates true existence, those who advocate things as real, as truly real. Okay, so we'll stop here, and I'm wondering if you have, okay, in other words, question answer. If you have one or two questions, just bring them up. I'm sure you have many questions. Just raise hands if you have questions. Okay, Netta.
Hello, Geshe. Thank you.
Yes.
I want to understand if I understood well the answer of the questioning about who is wrong or right. The one that sees the water as water, or molecules, or and maybe no one is right ultimately.
Okay.
Ultimately, no one is right, maybe because everyone is labeling in a way.
Oh, okay. So ultimately, nobody's right. Okay, that's quite which means
water,
which means that this is not water.
No, water exists, but no one is
No,
right.
this is water or not?
Yes.
Is it water or not?
Yes.
Okay, which means what you said is right.
It exists, but water is ultimately, it's not, it's a label.
No, this is okay. So when I'm the questioner, so you have to answer to my question. Don't answer to the question which I did not ask. My question is this water? What's the answer?
Yes.
Yes, which means your answer is correct. Your answer is right or wrong?
It depends. In
okay,
what
no,
level?
Give me a right answer. Don't give me a wrong answer. Right?
Yes, it's right. Conventionally right.
Which means that which means that all three are not wrong.
What?
Your answer is right.
Conventionally, yes, but if I investigate, it won't be right.
Okay, if you investigate, then the physicist is right.
So it won't be right if I investigate.
If you investigate, your answer is wrong, but what the physicists found is right.
Well, I'm confused, but also what they find is only partial, or it's also, they have to stop in a label, like of neutrons, but they're smaller parts.
100%. Okay, neutrons, in fact, to be very honest, as of now, we don't find a smaller particle than neutrons. The smallest one that as of now, the quarks, that is a size, and then that comes in the different forms, fermions and so forth. But as of now, physics could not find a smaller particle than the quarks, as of now. But in different forms it comes, but not smaller. This is physics. Okay, so in a way, another what you said is very precious, but for the time being, don't stop questions coming from outside. If somebody challenges you with questions, particularly you answer that all are wrong, no one is correct, then invite questions. Make sure that you are able to defend your position. In the process, you will grow. This is so important. But there's no harm in giving some radically different answers. There's no harm. And only thing is, don't be rigid, not entertaining questions from outside. When questions come, just try to give the answer. And the moment you see some contradiction between your answers, feel free to let go of your positions and be eager to embrace the new, the more refined answers. But this will happen only when you have some answers and somebody asks you a question and you feel yourself in contradiction. The moment you find yourself in contradiction, then feel free to let go of the early answers. This is how we all grow. Okay, Milinji.
Geshe, does the explicit assertion of one thing automatically mean an implicit negation of it? Something else?
Okay.
Say for example, because
okay,
if a particle physicist if a particle physicist is asserting protons, neutrons, does he implicitly automatically negate water as we see it conventionally?
Okay, so let us, all of us, let us pay attention to what Milinji said. So what Milinji is saying, if somebody says that this is the electrons, protons, neutrons, that's it. So it did not comment on the water. The person did not comment on water. It just commented that what is there in the glass is just electrons, protons, neutrons. Does it explicitly negate the object to be water? Or it does not negate the object to be water? So yes, is one question. But how I put it is that not only that the physicist is saying electrons, protons, neutrons. If I ask the physicist, is there water in it? He will say no. You're getting it? He will say no, which means no water is what he said. Yes, no water. It's not water. There's no water there. So this is the explicit answer. Simply because somebody sees electrons doesn't mean that it negates the presence of the water. But when you say that there's no water there, it explicitly negates the water. Okay. I know that let us not expect that one session, two sessions will give us wow answer. You're getting it? Because the Buddha remained 49 days silent. The fully enlightened Buddha, he did not give the answer for 49 days, right? So we can't expect that the first day we'll get it. The point is that all these questions are so precious, so precious. Let us, one thing that I would expect is that the participants, let us try your best to be consistent with this class. Be consistent and you will see that you're growing. If you're not consistent, if there's a break happening, and for some reasons, if you have to give a break, then I would still suggest you to listen to the recordings. Nowadays, these are the facilities available because of the technology. Listen to the recordings to make sure that with the next class, you are ready with the early class. The continuation must be there, and then you will keep growing. This is how we grow. Very good. More questions? More questions? Okay, the Smitaji.
Geshe, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so in verse 4, it says, through differences in their intelligence, yogis too are undermined by progressively higher ones. So how much, are we talking of wisdom here or intelligence, like cognitive intelligence? And is intelligence important to get over ignorance?
Okay, thank you. So here intelligence, the intelligence in general, intelligence is an extremely important mental factor, intelligence. When this intelligence is accompanied by compassion, it becomes wisdom. When that is devoid of the compassion, then it can be very destructive. So the point is that intelligence per se is something to be encouraged, not to be discouraged. Is yes, the higher the bodhisattvas on a higher level, they not only wisdom, their intelligence is so sharp, and that this very sharp intelligence becomes a very sharp wisdom, because the sharp intelligence is accompanied by extremely powerful compassion. That makes it wisdom. Yeah. So intelligence per se is very precious, and yes, the wisdom increases, plus intelligence also increases. And even though we may not be doing so good in our, let's say we were not doing so good in our studies during school days. Oh no, I'm not really. Sometimes even the teachers, they, okay, this child is not so intelligent, and you think that, okay, I'm not intelligent because my teacher said it. This is not really healthy. Even the intelligence is something which we can improve. We can sharpen our intelligence through training. Yes, the improvement of intelligence also happens as you proceed from the gade, para samgada, all along. Your intelligence continues to improve. Yes. Okay, more questions? More questions? Raise hands.
Maybe
okay.
Maybe Sabruto Barua has a raised hand. If you are there, your video is off.
Okay, Irid?
I guess not. Okay, Geshe, so I guess we'll end here.
No, there's one question there.
Oh, but he doesn't reply. There's no reply.
Yes, Irid.
Can I ask? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that I understood correctly. The description of mind analyzing the convention is when I look at your water with a glass with water, my mind will analyze it's not coffee, it's water. This is a correct description of mind analyzing the convention. It's not juice, it's not coffee, it's water. Is this?
Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So analysis. No, okay, this is, thank you so much, Irid. Thank you so much. This is the very important point made. Say sometimes, because in this just the 10 sessions, we are trying to rush through the chapter 9. And chapter 9, keep in mind that the chapter 9 is the most challenging chapter of the text, from the whole text. And so the point is that we're rushing through some points. We need to sometimes work to explain the nuances, to explain the finer points. What we said is that, we'll say the analysis, unanalysis. The analysis, sometimes we use the word analysis to refer to the ultimate analysis. So when you say that, okay, this water, it doesn't involve analysis in that sense. So then on the other hand, we say that ultimate analysis, convention analysis. So it's not a Bodha analysis. On the other hand, and the conventional analysis solar is not analysis. Okay, so to make it very clear, these are the clarifications where we need the clarifications. Number one, let me say, a mind thinking of something, say think. Let's say this is analysis, be it very sharp analysis or very gross analysis. It doesn't matter. This water, this is not juice. This analysis. It's a very simple analysis. Now, in the line on the stanza 4 line at the last line, unanalyzed. So this unanalyzed meaning, say the ultimate is not being the ultimate analysis. Not being the ultimate analysis is also is referred to as the unanalyzed. Otherwise, even the conventional analysis is also analysis. And sometimes you say unanalyzed, you see what is there. This is conventional truth. That means they say not analyzing in the ultimate, not analyzing to see by going close to the object, not doing the ultimate analysis. That is sometimes referred to as unanalyzed. Otherwise, even this water, this is not juice. This is also analysis. This analysis is known as conventional analysis. Very good. Thank you. This is very good clarification. Okay, more questions? Okay, Eric, did I give the answer to your question? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, more questions? Okay, we'll stop here. We'll stop here. No. Okay, David.
Yeah, okay, we'll stop here. Thank you so much, Geshe. If you would like to have...
Okay, we will do the end direction prayer.
Yes.
Yes, end direction prayer. Screen sharing. Okay, all the participants, what we suggest is that today, some of you might think that, okay, it's not really difficult. Some of you might think that, okay, it's really complicated. The thing is that in both cases, I would suggest what is the most important thing is it's not about how much you have learned before. It's about how committed you are to be consistent with the class, right? If you're consistent with these 10 sessions, I can assure you that your intelligence will keep increasing. And then I say the number one, this is one very important point. Number two, that not only your intelligence increases, that the concepts, you grow in your concepts. This for sure will happen. And if you think that, okay, it's very complicated, I'm expecting this to be very, something like the easy practice, Dharma practice, meditation, it's not like that. And then if you give up, this is a great loss for us. In fact, oftentimes when I teach, some of the organizers, they would ask, the topic that you teach, usually they are very complicated. Do we announce that a participant should have prior the exposure to the Buddhist philosophy and so forth? I said, no. By no means it should be a restriction for somebody to attend this class. Even though we are doing the most difficult chapter, but as long as the person, it's not about how intelligent you are. It's not about how exposed you are to the Buddhist philosophy in the earlier times. It's not about that. It's about how consistent you are. And of course, with the consistency, your passion comes, your love to learn something. As long as you have these two things, I'm very happy. I don't care how complicated the text is. As long as you have these two commitments within your mind, that will for sure, that will guarantee that your intelligence will keep increasing and that the concepts will keep progressing, will become improved. That's very precious. Okay. Let's pray the merits thus gathered, that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source to join on the third today, lives long, and that His wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. Also let us dedicate the merits that's gathered, that all the people who died to this COVID-19, and all the people who died otherwise as well, and all the people who are suffering because of COVID and other illnesses in the hospitals, ICUs, and in their respective homes. Let us pray that, all, particularly those who died, let us pray that they meet with a favorable birth, to meet with the dharma of the bodhicitta, the unconditional of bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness, to see the reality as it is, so that they wake up and they help to wake up all the other demons and makes towards enlightenment. And let me also dedicate matters that's gathered, that each one of you, through your concerted effort, be able to soon see the dawn of the wisdom of emptiness, which is the most beautiful mind in this world, and the dawn of the wisdom, the fearless mind in this universe, soon dawn in your mind. That each one of you become such a reliable guide to lead all sentient beings towards ultimate happiness. With this mind, let us do the intention prayer. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenris, the Tenzin Gyaltso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushu and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow the perfect examples. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not arisen in the rising grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merits thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds in the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding of Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfectly in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and the auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The power of unit, emptiness, compassion is loosely explained by the protector Buddha, Dharma, and the beings of the land of snows. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyaltso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be truly vanquished through the power of the truth of 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations and the paths, and I quickly attain the state of Vajratara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even across my life. Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyatha Om Gati Gati paragate parasamgate bodhisvatyatha om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha. Okay, let's see you next time. Shahala, thank you. And all of you, thank you. See you next time.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Thank
Geshe-la.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you all. We'll meet tomorrow at 11 o'clock India time and 8:30 Israel time. And for the Hebrew speakers, we have a revision with Yakila at 2 o'clock, unless you want a bit longer break, Yakila? Or is it okay?
It's okay, whatever works for you guys. Yeah, 2 o'clock is good. Let's not
2
make it too
o'clock
long.
is good. Okay, thank you so much. See you all
No worries.
tomorrow.
Thank you.